G'day, Knoxy here. Welcome to the first in what I hope will be a series of how-to kind of videos. In this case, I'll be going through how I prepare for endurance race, in this case the Bathurst 1000, which is coming up in a couple of weeks. iRacing will have at least one entry, if not a couple, in it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to run through and just share with you how I prepare for an endurance race. I'm not an alien, I'm about a 3K driver. I think I could probably be a little bit higher than that, but I think everybody thinks that. I've had a little bit of success in some of the longer format races in the special events. I've had a podium at Le Mans, a P2 or P3, I can't remember, and a win in third split at the Nürburgring 24. And I think that is because of my preparation. I don't think it's because I'm a particularly good driver, and obviously it also depends on how the rest of the team prepare. I hope this helps. I hope this helps you, and I wish you all the best in your endurance racing and your special event racing. I'm sure that this process will work in other games, other sims. I keep getting reminded this is a sim, not a game. So I wish you the best of luck, and I hope this is helpful to you. So obviously the first thing that we want to do is we want to familiarise ourselves with the car and the track. Thankfully I've done a fair bit of laps around Bathurst, so I kind of know where it goes. Specifically what we're trying to work out, or what I'm trying to work out here, is how the car behaves. I haven't driven this car very much. So these are just a few laps just to get started. I've just got the standard setup on. I might play with the setup a little bit depending on how it feels, and I'll go through that as well. But in the first instance, all we want to do is try and figure out what's going on. And you can see that the first thing I discover is that the brakes in a V8 supercar are nothing like a GT3's. So I'll talk about what it is that I'm trying to find out specifically. The first thing is where my braking points are. So although I know the track, I've driven this a lot of times in a GT3 or a GT4 or something with downforce and something with ABS. Braking points in this car are very different. It's getting two corners a lot quicker, it's got a lot of power, and so my braking points, my braking references are really different. I'm trying to understand the balance of the car. What do I need to do to drive this car well? I am trying to understand the nuances of the track in this car. So given that this car has basically no downforce comparatively compared to a GT3 or one of the other cars I'm used to driving, the track's really different. So for example, there's a bump coming out of the cutting that in this is pretty hairy. The car wants to break away, but in GT3 just keep it flat. So I mentioned braking points before, but it's not just my braking point, it's also my braking references. So for example, as we drive up Mountain Straight, finding the right place to brake is one thing, but finding the reference, so it's where the wall turns from white to black, is actually the point that I'm looking at now as I drive up there. Whereas in a GT3 car, I'm looking at there's a small exit road there, which is where you would brake in a GT3. So it's just understanding those differences, trying to get that sorted out. The other thing I'm trying to work out is what gear I should be in. So this car has huge amounts of power compared to the grip it's got. Often, I think it's a short shift. So the other thing is, I'm making mistakes, and that's okay. I'm having crashes. That's kind of the point of this part of it. What I do is I go and just do a lap. Just do a clean lap. Just work on getting one lap in, and then I kind of go away for a little while and have a think about it. I'm not too stressed about making mistakes at this point. We are looking to build up to what we want to do. I am looking to build up to what I want to do in the race, which is a clean, fast, double stint. So the whole point of training, practice, is to get to the point where I'm confident that in the race I can do a clean, fast, no damage, double stint, and hand over to my teammate the car in a good position, and also the car in good condition. And to do that, I need to know where I can't make mistakes, where I can make little mistakes, where I can push, where I can't push, that kind of stuff. So this is the only lap I managed to actually set a time on in this first, familiarization session. So I'll talk you through it and what I'm noticing. So the first thing I'm noticing, obviously, coming out of that corner is you're going to be really careful on the throttle. It's a very powerful car, and it really likes to slide under power. Also, this thing sounds magnificent. I braked far too late there. Put it into second to get it to turn in. Again, it's extremely interesting on throttle, but there was a gear change in the middle of that. Coming through the cutting, just realising that it's all about just getting in nice and tight. I clipped the wall on the left-hand side there, and there was a bit of a theme. I kept clipping the wall on the left-hand side. Again, gets lighter over the top there, gets really slippery. This area is pretty good. This area is actually quite not too bad in this car. Coming up over Skyline, something I'm noticing is I'm not getting across to the right. I'm not slowing down enough. Coming down the hill is hairy. It's just that, to be honest, just holding on for dear life through there. The other thing I'm finding is the gear change in here is tailing. So I'm finding that the car is losing the rear on gear change, which is an important thing to know. I've also discovered that if I'm in the middle of the track, here the car bottoms out. So I need to be across to the left. Through the chase, in a GT3 that's just flat. In this car I'm finding it really difficult to get through. Obviously made a mistake under braking there. Catch it, but there's obviously something I need to do differently through there, and understand that. Trying to find my braking point here, possibly braking a little late. Again, the car's really twitchy, as you can see. And then we set a lap time, 2:16.6. Obviously we can go faster than that, but again, it's still about learning what the car's doing, what the track is like in this car. I wouldn't call it a particularly successful session so far, but I've learnt a lot, and that's what matters. So a really important thing that I always do as well is go back and have a look on the replay from the TV, have a look at the laps I'm doing. And the reason I do that is because there are things, this is pretty wild, this car. There are things that you can see from the outside that you can't see from the inside. And pretty immediately what stands out to me on this replay is that I'm not using all the track. Now, it took me a little while to figure out why that was, and I'm also clipping left-hand walls. It took me a little while to figure out that this is a right-hand drive car, and I'm so used to driving a left-hand drive car, I wasn't placing the car correctly. So it's something to concentrate on. So you can see normally I'd be right on the wall out there, and in this I felt like I was on the wall, but I wasn't because I'm in a different place. So the car's almost always half a car length, width, across to the left, because the car's up the wheels on the other side. So that's a really important part of it too, is actually just reviewing what you've done, having a look at it like critically and saying, okay, what have I done wrong? I mean, this lap looks spectacular. It's horribly slow, but there's a lot of learning just from having a look at it. And I think a lot of the time we get in a car and we just kind of run laps and we keep making the same mistakes over and over and over again. without learning to do something differently. And so watching this, the first thing I notice is I'm not using the track properly. And it's because of where I sit in this car as compared to other cars. So that's basically the end of my kind of first session as I'm trying to prepare. Pretty simply, just trying to get a lap in. Just a reference lap. What am I doing wrong? Where do I need to improve? There's lots of so you can see that corner there. I was nowhere near the edge of the track on braking. So that's what it is. Just that first familiarization about what does this track feel like? What does this car feel like? What are the obvious mistakes I'm making? Where is it really important to be conservative? Where can you be a little bit, where is the track a little bit more forgiving? That kind of stuff. Again, it looks great, but it's slow. So from here, the next thing that I'll try and do is I'll try to move from this, learning what I've learned, I'll try to move from this into doing one full stint. I won't replay the entire stint, don't worry. But remembering that what I'm trying to achieve ultimately is to be able to do a good, clean, fast double stint in the race. So in my world, I try to practice what I'm going to try and do in the race. So I'm trying to do exactly the same thing. I'm trying to do a good, fast, clean, reliable stint. I'm not trying to set world records. I'm trying to learn how to drive an endurance race. So hot lapping, doing the fastest possible lap, doesn't help you do that, or at least in my mind it doesn't. So again, you can see I've left heaps of space on the exit there. Being able to do one good quick lap does not get you 1,000 kilometres around Bathurst. All it does is get you a good starting position. And I think I see that a lot in the endurance races where someone's set a really good time and within 3 laps they've crashed it. Because that's all they've practiced. All they've practiced is trying to be really, really fast. And fast is good, don't get me wrong, but fast and consistent, or consistently half a second off the absolute maximum, is much better. Okay, so I've watched my replay, I've worked out kind of where my lines are wrong, and now this is the start of my attempt at trying to do one full stint.
It's now 31 Celsius.
You can see that it doesn't necessarily go particularly well. What I will do here is I do go and make a few adjustments, and so I'll talk you through. So basically what I'm finding is that it's very quick in a straight line, but it's not got much turn. So the first thing that I do is, turn being, front end. First thing that I do is get it lower. So I get a little bit lower because if the car's a little bit lower, it's got a little bit more control. It's less kind of snappy. It won't understeer as much and then oversteer suddenly as much. So I want to have the front ride height as low as I can, and then the rake of the car I'll adjust. So the rake of the car makes a big difference. If the front end is low and the back end is high, that car is going to be really oversteery. If the front end is high and the back end is low, that car is going to be... if the front end is low and the back end is high, that car is going to be very oversteery, and the opposite. So, the back end will slide if the front end is low and the back is high. So, a little bit too slidey for me. So I've just lowered it a touch. I've changed the rake a little bit to settle the rear down. I'll then have a look at the anti-roll bars, or roll centers in this case, and the anti-roll bars. You'll see I actually make adjustments as I go. I soften the anti-roll bars, particularly at the rear in this car. So let's see how that goes. I did find it a little more drivable after I'd made those adjustments.
The track temperature's decreasing. It's now 29 Celsius.
So yeah, we're still making mistakes. And again, that's okay. We need to make the mistakes here in practice rather than in a race. Let's have another look at the setup. I'm finding that it's very pointy. I'm finding that it's very oversteery. Part of that is just the driving as well. So what I've done is just softened the rear anti-roll bar just to make it a little bit easier to get on the power, which is something this car, it is very difficult to do in. So what I might do here is I'll take you through the first lap I did in a stint that I actually managed to get through. So it's a 30 lap stint. I won't bore you with the whole 30 laps. I'll take you through the first lap and I'll take you through the fastest lap. I'll just contrast the two. So first thing at the moment is obviously, like I said, still trying to find the right placement of the car, trying to find the right braking point. So I think about the 100 board there, perhaps a little earlier, a little bit deep. Still very scruffy at this stage. Looking at the brake application, the brake trace. So again, probably not enough brake there, not too bad. Smooth throttle application, which is a lot better than it was. Just trying to take the least amount of space up here, braking where the ball goes black. Got to be in really tight here, third gear corner. Again, smooth throttle, smooth brake application. Keeping it in third here, down to second, rolling through this corner. And one other thing you'll notice is, if you look at the throttle trace, early shift there too, I'm finding, so that I don't spin over that. There's a bit of a hump there. There's a bit of a hump here as well, which this car doesn't like. Rolling through here, just trying to get wider to that wall, trying to get closer to that wall, trying to get wider on the exit there, not doing it very well. Again, missing the right hand side there, taking it easy. One thing you will notice now is that if you look at the throttle trace, I'm blipping the throttle now on the downshift because I was finding that was upsetting the rear end of the car. This car seems to need either to change gears really early, downshift really early, or downshift really late, one or the other, or throttle blip on the way down. And yes, I've got it set on auto blip, but auto blip in this car doesn't really auto blip. This corner is not, the kink is not flat. Braking is still kind of turning a bit there. And there you go, there's an example of I didn't get the blip right, locked up the rear, so a compression lockup. Lost it on the way in, caught it, but not very tidy. This corner's really slow, like you've got to go really slow in to get the power out. So that's 2:17.4, so not a fast lap, but the first, and still learning, like lots and lots of learning to do. Still trying to get the car in the right place. So we're coming up to the fastest lap of the first full stint. A couple of things to note is that the car is much lighter, burnt off about 100 litres of fuel, but also that the tyres are pretty much shagged. But let's try and contrast. So much closer to the white line on braking, a little bit later braking in there, rolling through, using blipping on downshifts. Throttle application probably wasn't as smooth as it could have been there. You see we're going much faster up the straight. Braking at the black and white, even a little later now, third gear. Getting much closer to the curb on the inside than I was earlier. Much smoother throttle on the exit there, not getting it sideways. Lifting off a little earlier there, rolling through very tight on the cutting, I think that's called. Short shifting over the hump, much closer to the left without hitting it, much closer to the right without hitting it. Same here. Managing to keep it almost flat over that little hump because I'm driving in a straighter line. Much wider here compared to earlier. Tighter and wider again here compared to earlier. I'm changing gears before I get to Skyline now, whereas before I was trying to change maybe afterwards. It seems to settle the car and point the front better. Accelerating much better out there. changing gears earlier again here so that I can use the brakes all the way in to get it turned, using much more track still. Still not a perfect lap, by the way, there's a lot more to find, but you can see the progression. The first lap I did was a 2:16, the first lap I did in this stint was about a 2:17. My last lap, or the best lap up to now, is a 2:11, so that's a lot of progression. Much lighter lift coming over here. I'm clipping the curb there, I wasn't before. In fact, I was hardly making that corner before. Short shift to third on the way out of that one, out of the chase. Braking much earlier, coming down here. Throttle blipping again, clipping the curb, much different. You can see that gives us 2:11.2. So, I won't take you too much more through that. That's, basically, you're just pounding laps, but making sure that when you're pounding the laps, you are learning, or me, I am learning, looking for that extra bit of track to use, pushing it a little bit further. The other thing I'm doing is I'm trying to work out, and I know I'm on the track by myself, but I'm trying to work out where I might be able to overtake people and where I might not be able to overtake people, where's safe, where's not, that kind of thing, because obviously 1,000 kilometres there will be a lot of overtaking. The next thing that we would need to look at is, I've done a full stint, so what are the tyres like? And I can tell you from driving it, the tyres aren't great. They're very, very worn. So let's go and have a look at what our tyre state is once we get into the pits. So you can see this is the end of the stint. We've come into the pits, 30 laps. If you look at the right rear tyre, it's down to 50%. The rest of the tyres are also pretty unhealthy. In iRacing, anything below about 65% is not much grip. So that tells us that when we're racing, we need to be very, very careful on throttle application. We need to be very, very careful on brake application. We need to really take care of our tyres. I will then, for myself, I'll go back and I'll again review that whole thing on a TV cam just to see where I am in terms of braking points and lines, etc. But I will spare you that. The next thing that we need to do, so after this I would do a double stint. Of course, I'm not going to try and show you how to do a double stint. The next thing though is traffic. So this is all great. I now know how to mostly go around the track by myself, but I'm not going to be by myself. I'm going to be spending 6 hours with lots of other cars. So the next thing to do is to work out, get some practice with some other cars, figure out where you can safely overtake other cars. But so what I'm looking for in the next bit of the video is a slower driver. Where do I need to be cautious? How can I overtake a slower driver on this track? And then a faster driver. So, if there's someone my pace or someone who's doing quick times, see, I do make a few mistakes. If someone doing quick times, then how might I get past them? And also then how do I defend? How do I make sure that, if I'm in the last 5 laps and I don't want to get overtaken, how do I defend? So I'll move on to that now. Okay, so now we need to practice traffic in the race. So I believe these cars are a standing start. Didn't do that very well. Spun the wheels to start off with, then got off throttle, then got back on it, spun them again. You can see Tommy, who was next to me, got through much better than I did. So a bit of work to do there. I have set up a race with my mates, basically, so that I can demonstrate this. And also, Nick Green, who's up there getting overtaken by Tommy at the moment. He is the novice racer. Oh, sorry, he's just in front of Tommy at the moment. It's Andy in the white car. He is the novice racer. He runs a channel called The Novice Racer. If you haven't seen that channel, go and have a look. It's very entertaining. Lots of fun. Great guy. So what we're doing right now though is Andy's a little slower than we are, Nick's probably a bit slower than we are. Tommy is a 4.8 driver, he's a beast, he's very, very quick. You can see Tommy up in front here doing the same thing I am, basically figuring out where he can go, where he can't. He's gone too wide with Nick, and somehow they've managed it. I wouldn't recommend that. So with the slower drivers, they're significantly slower. I shouldn't say slower. The less experienced drivers are significantly slower. And by the way, don't do it like that. That's not how you do it. We have damage off in this race, so but it's still getting experience about being in behind someone, like right up behind them, and what the lines of sight are and how difficult it is to be able to do the job, to get past people. Okay, so we're catching up to Nick here. Again, he's a bit of a less experienced driver, perhaps, than I am. And so, in an endurance race though, especially these, I don't think it'll be a huge turnout for this. We will get very different rated drivers that you've got to deal with. This is a really good test about whether you can get past someone who's a little bit slower across the top of the hill. And you can see that I have a go here. It doesn't work out. It doesn't work out at all. Again, thankfully damage is off, so which is good for practice. But what this has taught me is that it doesn't really matter how slow they are, or how much slower they are than you or than me. Trying to get past someone on that straight, on the hill, isn't going to work. So this is 2 laps later. Nick's done a really good job of keeping me behind him. Tommy's gone off in the distance. I'm not going to catch him in this race. So if we can't get past someone, the next thing to do is to just stay really close and try and pressure them into a mistake. So this looks like a place you might be able to do an overtake, but honestly they need to be braking much earlier. So this is again all intelligence gathering. That's not really an overtaking place there. This might be. We'll go and have a go at that. So we do. Nick gets a bit spooked, I think, and ultimately he makes a mistake. So forcing someone into a mistake without bumping them is still a really legitimate way to overtake someone. But Nick did a really good job. He kept me behind for 2 laps. I couldn't get past him, but that was eventually how we made that overtake. Okay, we'll move on to race 2. You don't need to see 12 laps of Tommy driving away from me. So again, another go at the start. I didn't get a great start last time, hoping that we get this one a bit better. And again, a little bit more practice on trying to kind of get through the field. Tommy is behind me at this stage. So this one, Nick makes a great start there. Eric comes across. Unfortunately clips Nick. That takes care of 2 guys. And so the start, obviously I'm trying to get a good start, but I'm also just trying to not hit anyone. It's really important. Get onto the straight. Tommy is behind me, right next to me there. Unfortunately you can't see him, I've got the mirror turned off. Sorry about that. But he's next to me. So taking the early entry here, Nick makes a mistake and heads off. So learning that corner, which I think is called Murray's corner, you have to be on the inside. We have a go at trying to get up the inside here on George. George is having none of it. Tommy gives me a little tap from behind to let me know. So safely away. We haven't made any big mistakes this time. We're a lot faster than George at this stage, but again, there's really just nowhere to go, and we make a mistake. Making the mistakes is really important. Thankfully, again, damage is off. But in the race, I don't want to make that mistake. So in the race, I need to make sure that I learn from that and be patient across the top, particularly early on, until tyres are warmed up, etc. Coming down the hill, this is a really tricky zone. And you can see George makes a mistake there. I managed to miss him, thankfully. And then we're away. We'll skip forward a little bit because Tommy and I have an excellent battle, really good fun. and I learn a lot about where we can overtake, where we can't overtake, etc. Tommy does get ahead of me, of course, before we can have that battle, but you know, he's pretty good, that guy. And I do make a mistake here as well, just a little tap, throws me sideways, lose a bunch of time, and I'll have to make all those places up again. So a lot to learn there. First lap needs to be much more calm. That was a bit exciting. Okay, so here's the traffic stuff that I really need to know as well. So what we've learnt in terms of the traffic, that we need to try and get a good start. If we can get to the inside of turn 1, that'd be handy. If not, then we just need to be really cautious. First lap, first couple of laps, we need to be very, very cautious across the top of the mountain, and if we lose some time there, that's fine. It's a 1,000-kilometre race. This is the bit I want to highlight. This is a really good battle between Tommy and I, looking at where we might make the overtake, and I might just go through a lap or two here. Again, Tommy's an excellent driver. He's quicker than me under normal circumstances, and in fact he proves that by taking the fastest lap here. So Tommy, if you watch this, mate, tip of the hat, you did get a fastest lap. Just out of interest, my fastest lap in this race is a 2:10.2, so you can see the more laps I'm doing, the better I'm getting as well. And so here, we're just trying to put pressure on Tommy. We know that we can't even overtake a car that's 2 seconds a lap, or 2 seconds slower than we're here. So we're just trying to stay as close to Tommy as we can, make sure we don't make any mistakes. No big mistakes anyway. And also, identifying where we're a bit quicker than Tommy, we're a bit slower than Tommy, so I'm a little bit quicker down the hill here at the moment. Tommy's going through there, changing gears much later than I am, which I think is giving me a bit of an advantage. I try to stick my nose in here. Tommy's having done it, of course. I'm not sure he even saw me. And what that did was give me a slower exit, so that's definitely not how we do it, unless the person makes a mistake somewhere. It's also where I hit Andy, trying to get past going down into that corner, so that's definitely not an overtaking place, which is disappointing. This doesn't appear to be an overtaking place either, just the length of the way that you've got to come off the top of the kink means it's very hard to be side by side. Tommy did overtake Stephen there, but mainly just because Stephen was very nice to him. So again, we're just trying to put some pressure on Tommy here, and it seems to be working. He is making a few mistakes. So he defends. We're not going to try and hang it around the outside. I'm going to try a switchback. Tommy makes a mistake, but I was a bit slow onto the throttle, so I didn't get away as quick as I wanted to. The draft in these cars is very strong, which is nice. So we can get really close to Tommy here, but again, it's a risky move to try and throw it up the inside there. Very good chance of a bump, somebody ending up in the wall, probably Tommy, and I don't want to do that. I kind of do, but you know, it's not the right way to do it. So again, just trying lines, trying to just be in his mirrors, look like I'm going faster even if I'm not. We're both driving pretty hard here too. You can see there's a fair bit of attitude on the cars. Just trying to use a little bit more track than Tommy as well. So to be fair to Tommy too, he's not done as many laps as I have in this car on this track. Again, closing up a little bit here. So we know we're a little bit quicker through here. I'm just going to run. I'm going to let this run for a while, just because it's a good battle. It's good fun, and you know, hopefully you guys enjoy watching it. Tommy's a really talented driver. To be completely honest with you, I'm happy to be even able to hang with him. The other thing we all learned was that driving over the crown of the hill on the straights was quicker as well. So that's good information. You see Tommy's taking a lot of curb on the inside there, more than I was. So can learn from another person while you're in traffic as well. One thing I'm doing that Tommy's not doing is I'm blipping the throttle, and I think in the end that's what makes the difference. So you see Tommy's got a bit sideways going in there, he's not blipped the throttle, so I'm feeling pretty confident at the moment that I'm going to get him. So he's under pressure and making small mistakes. In the draft again, and that is critical too, staying in the draft. So again, he's gone a little wide. I'd like to say it's pressure, but with Tommy it's probably not. He doesn't really feel pressure when I'm behind him. So he's defending, again, compromising his line. We give him a little love tap here, just to let him know we're right there. But we're not trying to turn him, we're not trying to kill him, that's not the point. He's taking a little bit more inside there than he was. Making sure we stay nice and close. I feel like I'm quicker down the hill, but I'm not quicker out of Forest Elbow, which is something that I'll have to work on for the race. He gets a really nice exit there. And you wouldn't drive like this for an enduro stint either, because we're really pushing. The tyres are getting hot. You can see there's a lot of corrections on the wheel. Again, I'm just trying to use a little bit more track than him, and it looks like I am, which is why I can stay with him, I think. A little wide there again from Tommy, but I'm trying to just not get excited here, because it's very easy to get excited and make a mistake, like Steve did earlier. And then Tommy is very sideways there, makes a big mistake, leaves the door open for me. Thankfully gives me space, appreciate that. And we do manage to get past. So that's important. That shows us really overtaking at this track is going to be an exit onto one of the straights, probably Mountain Straight, and really the only real overtaking opportunity is probably Murray's Corner. There's probably an opportunity at Hell Corner, but patience is going to be the name of the game. Trying to stick the car up the inside somewhere up at the top of the hill, or pretty much anywhere else, is just not going to work against someone who knows what they're doing. I'll show you one more thing and then we'll wrap it up. So you can see on the relative that Tommy is right behind me. Unfortunately, I haven't recorded the mirror. I'll do that next time, sorry. Tommy, he's trying to draft me. He's even with me on the left-hand side. I'm trying to defend from basically a quicker driver. And what I do is I push him out to the left there, I take the inside, and there is no grip on the outside. As soon as you're outside of the camber there, you simply can't get through the corner. So doing that, if someone's going to try to overtake coming up Mountain Straight, which is probably the best overtaking opportunity, that is really the only, that's the defensive move. You cannot overtake on the outside there. So two things to learn from that. Don't try to overtake on the outside there at Murray Corner. And the second thing is, for defending, as long as you can get a reasonable launch out of the previous corner and not have them go past you and stay on the inside, that's a good way to defend. Obviously you can't account for what someone else might do, but there you go. So, process. Do a lap, figure it out. Figure out the car, figure out the track. Then just try and slowly but surely build up to a full stint. Take a break for a while, have a look at the replay, make sure you look at your replays, or I make sure I look at my replays so that I can tell where I'm making mistakes. Adjust the driving. So I see a lot of times people will go and do a lap, and then the next lap is exactly the same, and then the lap after that is exactly the same, and so on and so on and so on, and they don't improve, and they get frustrated, and they don't understand why they're not getting better. And just doing laps that are the same over and over again, which are 5 seconds off the pace, is not how you improve. What you've got to do is go and do a lap. If you look at this lap compared to the first lap I did, it's remarkably different. Completely different lines. You know, it's the same track and it's the same car, but that's about as close as it gets. Where are my braking markers? What am I looking at when I brake? So, you know, again, the black and white line up here. I'm actually braking a little later than that, but I still look at it and then I adjust where I hit the brakes compared to that marker. So where is my visual sight marker for my braking? Getting used to the dynamics of the car. What does it need me to do to be able to drive it fast? For example, coming over here, it's a short shift to third over that bump, so we don't lose too much rear grip. This car, I feel, some of the other guys don't feel this, but I feel that it needs a blip on downshift, or it locks the rears. We want to know how to get into a nice rhythm. So that's why we do a long, you know, first stint. We're also going to do, like, I won't show it here, but after I do this, I'll go and do a full double stint, which is going to be 2 hours of driving by myself. We want to know what the tyres are going to be like. So we've discovered that these tyres wear out pretty quick. We're down to 50% at the end of a simple stint. And it's only 22-degree track temp too. So if it's really hot track temperatures, we're going to need to take it really, really easy during an endurance stint. Ultimately, being prepared to give away some spots early and have those people have their tyres go before me. We want to blip on the downshifts. We know that in terms of overtaking and defending, there's really only two or three spots that we can overtake. Down here, into the next corner, and then to Murray's corner. The chase, or the really fast, at the end of the fast straight, the chase doesn't look like it's an overtaking place. We know that we need to be really cautious across the top of the mountain if we're following someone. We know how many laps we do in a stint, so it's a 30 lap stint. The race is going to be 162 laps, I think, off the top of my head. So that's not quite going to work out. We'll be 14 laps short. So that says we're not going to save 14 laps in fuel saving, so we might as well go flat out, because we're going to have a last fuel stop no matter what we do. And then ultimately, again, the practice needs to be, you know, if you find you're doing, let's say, so I'm doing 2 10s, 2 11s, let's say you're doing 2 16s, go and find someone who's doing 2 10s, 2 11s, or go and have a look at, you know, this video or whatever, and have a look at what they're doing different, and then try to copy it until you can find a comfortable rhythm for yourself. So that is how I prepare for an endurance race. It works for me. You know, I'm not the fastest driver in the world, but I'm not the slowest either. It's important in my world to be prepared. I think that the more preparation you can do, the better off you're going to be. If you have any questions, if you have any suggestions, then please chuck it in the comments section. Give us a like and a subscribe if you don't mind. It helps with the algorithm. I'm really keen actually to get feedback on this video. Tell me if you think this has been useful or not. I would really love to know that. This is how I do it. And also give me some suggestions on how I might do it differently. If you do it differently and it works for you, like in the comments, please discuss. Thank you for watching my video. It's probably longer than I would have liked to make it, but I really want it to be quite thorough. I will be making some other iRacing DIY videos, planning to do a how to get out of rookies, how to increase your safety rating, how to increase your iRating. Any suggestions on that, on anything else you'd like to see, please let me know. Maybe one on how to learn a new car or how to learn a new track, something like that. It's been a pleasure making this video. Do also go and have a look at Nick Novice Races channel. Go and have a look at JP Broadcasting. Check out Jack Ashton Racing and Coaching. He's my coach. He's brilliant. When he first coached me, I was at about 2k and I couldn't figure out how to get past. I'm now at 3.1k and I don't really race that much. I really only do the enduros. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed it and I hope you found it useful.